Hey there, how's it going? My name is David and you're watching Kyosho TOMS. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to video number 2 on this, the Kyosho Turbo Optima Mid Special, the Kyosho TOMS. If you haven't seen my first video, I'll put links in the description below, so you should probably watch that one first before watching this one. So since that video, I've had a chance to take this out for a shakedown run. I ran it outdoors at the park. I also took it to my local indoor off-road carpet course and got to know the car. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a lot of footage at either location, various circumstances. So I'd hoped to get enough footage for a cinematic running video that I usually do on my channel, but I wasn't able to get that footage. So I plan to get that footage later on another time and perhaps follow up with another video. But mostly I was testing this at Carnosa RC Park, my local indoor track, this past Sunday. And so what can I tell you? I'm sure everybody wants to know how it got on, how it drives. Well, first thing, correction. In my previous video, I mentioned what I thought was an oversight on Kyosho's part regarding these little clips that hold the under tray onto the chassis. Because the under tray is quite deep, in order to slide a stick pack in, you have to rotate this clip and lower the under tray, slide the battery in. But once you do, the battery is then covering the clip, and so you can't turn it with your finger. And I thought that was an oversight on Kyosho's part. Although, as somebody pointed out in comments, could you just not turn the screw from underneath with a 2mm driver? And sure enough, you can. As long as you don't as long as you don't do these up snug to begin with, then you can do that. What I found was, when I first tried to do it, as I tried to turn, it wasn't actually turning the clip, it was actually just, backing the screw out of the clip. But once there was enough looseness in there, then sure enough, you can use a 2mm driver on the other side of the chassis to turn this clip. So it was more my oversight than Kyosho, so a correction there. But as you can see, we've got the optional OTW163 carbon upper deck fitted. So this came the other day, I installed it, and that allows you to run Shorty Lipos. So it's a lot narrower in this section compared to the stock upper deck, and that allows you to take your battery holder and rotate them around 180 degrees and bring these straps closer together, and there you can run a Shorty Lipo. So once you do that, these clips just remain in a locked position. Unfortunately, it does add a potential complication, should I say, when it comes to the location of receivers. So in the manual, Kyosho tell you to put they recommend you put your receiver up here on this upper deck, which is what I initially did. But as you can see, it's too narrow here to mount the receiver in this location, and the strap is right here, so you cannot put the receiver in this location. Likewise, it won't fit here because the body is too low and it's going to interfere. It won't fit anywhere around here. So you're essentially left with two options. You either put it right here or right here. Under the battery straps on this side, you've got a cable guide for the brushless motor, and as you can see, the cables run directly across, and I didn't really want these cables going over the receiver. I don't think they cause interference, but I didn't really want that. I didn't really want to risk it, so I ended up putting the receiver here. So a Futaba receiver will just fit in this space. You line it up with the edge of the chassis, and that will give you just enough clearance so that you can take this spur gear cover off without having to remove the receiver. Removing the spur gear is something I discovered I needed to do several times at the weekend, because you cannot adjust the slipper without removing the spur gear cover, and that is probably one of the downsides of this, because in order to get access to the pinion or the spur, you need to, first of all, you need to pull this cover off, and in order to pull the cover off, you've got to undo the lock nut that holds the top of the damper in place, and you kind of really do need to take off the wheel as well, so you can access the 2 screws that hold the spur gear cover in place. So it's a little bit of an involved process. Incidentally, at one point during testing at the weekend, I decided I wanted to back off the slipper. Now the manual tells you to set the slipper clutch so that the slipper adjustment nut is flush with the end of the shaft, which is what I did. But I decided I wanted to back it off a bit. So I took all these pieces off, backed the slipper nut off, what, a quarter of a turn, put it all back together, and then went back out on track and didn't even complete 1 lap because it was now sounding like a TIE fighter. It was screeching like anything the whole way around the track. So it turns out that there is 0 clearance between the nut and this hard plastic spur gear cover when it's flush. So if you back it off even the slightest amount, the nylon lock nut will be pushed up and rubbing against this hard plastic, and it will make the most awful screeching sound you've ever heard. So yeah, just a heads up on that. I initially thought I had some kind of catastrophic transmission failure, but no, it turned out to be that. I mean, for indoor carpet, you could probably run without the cover on, to be honest. It would make changing pinion and also adjusting the slipper clutch a whole lot easier. But yeah, so how did this drive? Well, just like all vintage machines, they were never really designed to run on modern day high grip indoor carpet tracks, and certainly not one like my local Konos or RC Park. I'll put footage on the screen. So they do require some setup changes, just basically dialing the settings. I try to avoid as much as possible modifying them. You know, it's very easy to put big bore dampers on and make huge changes, and I have done it in the past, but I try to keep more vintage aesthetics if I can. So working with these dampers, unfortunately, I should take a step back. In my haste to get to the track at 8 o'clock in the morning, I completely forgot the box that contained the kit wheels and tires, the narrow ones, and all of my spring sets and all the spare parts for this. I had absolutely nothing except the car itself, so I was kind of restricted in what I could do. The stock dampers, the stock springs are just too soft. Certainly where I was running, they were too soft. The car was bottoming out constantly, as is evident by quite a few battle scars on the front bumper. Yeah, it was bottoming out quite a lot, but unfortunately I couldn't raise it up. At the moment the ride height is about 20 millimeters front and rear. I couldn't raise it up because if I did, it wanted to traction roll in the hairpins. At about 20 millimeters ride height, it would only really traction roll in the hairpins if I tried to carry too much corner speed, but then it would tend to bottom out. So I've since replaced the front yellow springs with these gold ones. These are the hardest springs Kyosho produced, so hopefully that's gonna improve things. Likewise, oil, I've now got 400 in the front and 450 in the rear. The manual tells you that if you're going to run on high traction surfaces, you should run 300 in front and 400 in the rear. So I've got 400 and 450. I'm going to try that and see how we get on. Hopefully it improve things. But yeah, it drove really well. I had got a 30 turn brush setup, so it was slow. With the gearing, I think it was 26 tooth pinion. It was pretty slow, but I didn't mind too much because the track where I was running, they'd just done a new layout, and so it was the first time for everyone to run on this new track layout. And so I was just getting used to the track, getting used to the machine, so I wasn't too fussed about, you know, setting any lap records. But yeah, it drove reasonably well, held up reasonably well. I had a few crashes and a few mishaps, but the under tray seems to be doing well. Certainly it seems to be more robust than the under tray that you get on the Super Dog Fighters. The bumper, as you can see, is taking a beating. Surprisingly, the sway bars at the rear, they're still in one piece as well. But yeah, it drove pretty good. I basically just got to dial in some more settings. As you can see, now we've got the Shorty Lipo in. I've installed Le Mans 240S ESC. So if you fit this ESC, Kyosho's own ESC, you can actually screw it into the chassis. You don't need to use double-sided tape. We've got a 21.5 turn brushless motor, and this is what I need for local race regulations. I've got, well, I think we've got like 32 tooth pinion in there now, so it should be a little bit quicker than it was last weekend. Hopefully I can get to the track tomorrow and do some more testing and see how we get on. I also want to try the narrower front tires and see how that changes the handling. These yellow compound tires, the soft compound, they grip really well on carpet, at least the carpet we have over here. And I may change them out for the hard compound tires. I run hard on my Optima carpet spec racer, and they just really helped reduce traction rolling in the corners. But yeah, drove really well. Motor stayed very cool, but like I said, it wasn't really under a lot of pressure anyway. But yeah, super excited to do some more testing on this, so I'll report back, and then I have to make a decision. Do I run this? I plan to enter the Yokomo Off-Road Festival again this year in November. I got videos on last year's event in my channel. I'll put links in the description. So I've got a choice. Do I run this? Do I run the Works 91 from Yokomo? Do I run my EXO carbon conversion Super Dogfighter? Or do I take the JJ Optima out for another run? Decisions. At the moment, as much as I love this, and I'm a huge Kyosho fanboy, and anyone that watches this channel will know that, this does have a couple of major downsides for racing, most notably maintenance, and if you need to repair something related to the transmission, belt pulley. Working on a Super Dogfighter, if you've worked on one, you'll know you can have the diffs out in a few minutes. It's very easy to work on. It does have its own problems. The front bulkhead constantly breaks. Front shock towers break on a regular basis as well. So the Yokomo does have its own problems, but in terms of maintenance and ease of repair, it's a lot easier to work on than this. So there are some advantages and disadvantages. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with. Hopefully I can run this, get some timing gear in it, run this, run the Works 91, run the JJ, and run my 870C, and get an idea of where we are, and then make a decision from there. But yeah, that's it for this one. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them, so just let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. My name is David, this is Kai City RC, and I'll see you in the next one.